Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm a Spanish speaking librarian with Multnomah County Library School Corps. Today I'm going to share some novelties for 2021. And in this video, I'm going to cover books about World War II from the perspective of Japanese Americans, a French Jewish girl, and a Jewish girl that escapes the Nazis by relocating to Cuba. If you'd like to find the books and websites I mentioned in the presentation, the links are included in the description below.
We Are Not Free by Tracy Chee. On the cover, we see three young adults. They appear to be waiting as they stand or sit next to a pile of boxes and luggage. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, life in the U.S. significantly changed for Japanese Americans. Anyone with dark hair and brown eyes could be mistaken for a person of Japanese descent. They could be harassed or physically beaten on the street. Many tried not to leave their homes unnecessarily. Mino, a young Japanese American, said, "It's dangerous to go out with a face like mine." Posters in the neighborhood depicting racist propaganda and fear also started propping up, fueling hatred and distrust of anyone of Japanese descent. Furthermore, the U.S. president signed an exclusion order that considered people of Japanese descent a threat to national security, forcing them from their homes and relocating them to incarceration camps. We Are Not Free tells the story of World War II from the perspective of 14 young second-generation Japanese Americans. Their interconnected stories offer a multiplicity of thoughts, feelings, and experiences, illustrating how their lives and communities were suddenly, unjustly, and harshly uprooted. Artwork, maps, and letters included throughout the text make the details of their experiences intensely real. While the characters are teens forced to grow up in the harsh reality of war and racism, they persevere and don't allow bitterness to destroy them. Discussion questions. What did you learn about Japanese internment that you didn't know before? Japanese Americans in the internment camps were asked to pledge loyalty to the United States and go to war on behalf of this country. How would you respond if you were in their shoes? After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, anyone who looked Japanese was not safe. They could be verbally harassed or even beaten. Who in our current society is not safe? Why aren't they safe? What needs to happen so that targeted populations can be safe? Could internment happen today? Could history repeat itself? Here are some websites to support your reading of We Are Not Free. The first one is an educator guide created by the author. The second resource is a pair of Japanese American students who interview Tracy Chee. And the third one is a TED animated video that gives more information about Japanese internment, more details. And the fourth one is George Takei, who's famous for being a star on Star Trek and also a pioneer in LGBTQ rights. He shares his experience as a young child in a Japanese internment camp. This Light Between Us, a novel of World War II by Andrew Shah Fukuda. On the cover we see a soldier and barbed wire. Behind him we see a faded image of a young woman. Alex is upset when his elementary school teacher assigns him a pen pal who is a girl. Over time, Alex warms up to the idea, and the letters between him and Charlie develop from school assignment to playful teasing to a lifelong friendship. Charlie is a Jewish girl and lives in France. Alex is a Japanese American who lives in Washington State. As World War II starts to take shape, they continue to write to each other. They write about the unimaginable turns their lives have taken because of the war, their innermost thoughts and feelings. In a world torn apart by war, the one thing they can count on is the unbreakable bond and lifelong friendship they have developed. Letters from Cuba by Ruth Behar. On the cover, there is what looks like a tropical island surrounded by water. In the distance, we see land with old stone buildings. There is a ship coming into the island. It's 1937. As the Nazis continue to increase their power, it is harder for Esther and her family to continue living in Poland. They face discrimination and maltreatment at every turn. With many countries closing their borders to Jewish refugees, Esther's father finds refuge in Cuba. He works and sends his family money. Eventually, he saves enough money to bring one of his children to join him in Cuba. Esther convinces her father to choose her in a letter. She promises to work her hardest to help him secure enough money to bring the rest of the family to Cuba. Esther travels alone and manages to survive a harsh, perilous journey across the sea to Cuba. Esther is saddened to leave her family, particularly her younger sister. She writes to her sister letters detailing her journey and life in Cuba in a notebook. Esther plans to give the letters to her sister when they're able to see each other again. When Esther arrives in Cuba, everything is so foreign, but most appalling to Esther is how nice most of the people are. True to her word, she dedicates all her talents and efforts to saving money to bring the rest of her family to Cuba. This fictional story is based on the author's family history. Down below the video, you will find a link to the full list of titles from this year's Novelties videos, links where you can watch our other School Corps presentations, and a link to book discussion tips from Multnomah County Library. We'd also appreciate it if you could fill out our evaluation to let us know what you think of these videos. Finally, you can find out more about School Corps by following the link below.